Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Major 2 in Boston is over. What a phenomenal event it was from start to finish. The champion has indeed been crowned, but another massive story of the day is that another one of the real OGs, Anthony Methodz, announcing his retirement live on stage during the championship Sunday. Plenty to dive into today. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. First of all, we've got to discuss the first series of the day before the announcement came through from Methodz, and that was FaZe versus Minnesota Rokkr. At this point, Rokkr were looking super strong. They take game 1, can you believe it, against Atlanta FaZe here on the hotel. FaZe, though, take them all the way to a game 5 round 11, and I'm sure that Rokkr will be deeply frustrated, and it feels to me that really this was the moment, this 5-3 lead, game 5. It's just a classic European player type thing to happen, and FaZe and Simp and aBeZy are the reapers of doing this to European players. Doesn't matter whether they were on Toronto, London, or even, you know, pre-CDL era even, it was the case before. But it was certainly the case here. I'd 5-3 up Rokkr were, map 5, on the verge of making it to the grand finals. They fall short, it goes round 11, they lose the round 11, FaZe clutch up, take it to the grand finals again and secure what is something like their 17th grand final. This might just be for Simp, right? But still, I think the 17th grand final he's been in 24 events, which is, I mean, this guy is a magnet for the grand finals and for good reason. This team is out of control, but they love getting it done right now in a difficult fashion. Game 5, round 11 to clutch up here was absurd. Minnesota Rokkr will be gutted, of course. They did deserve it on the numbers here, but still, Rokkr will feel like this was their moment to really cement their case because they ran into an incredibly hot Los Angeles Thieves team in the losers brackets. But just before the OpTic series began, then next up, Puckett made the announcement that Zinni was going to come on stage and give a special announcement. As soon as I heard that, I was like, oh my god, he's going to retire, because like it seemed to align quite nicely, right? We questioned even this morning what Method's future was with this roster. Would they at some point look to bring Beans in? Methodz, I'm sure, has seen Scump step away in the last few weeks or so and thought, you know what, I've been doing this for well over a decade. Methodz is one of the real OGs, right? He's been around since the Black Ops 2 days. We've now pretty much got Clayster left, we've got Attach left, I guess, as well, and the Slasher, right, as some of the real OGs. But, you know, outside of that, Methodz really was one of them. Yes, he hadn't won an incredible amount of events over his career, but still an incredibly lengthy career, been a notable player for so many years for so many different reasons. Phenomenal personality for the COD scene as well. So for him to step away was a massive surprise, right? I mean, it also makes sense in a way, right? I think that Boston were probably thinking about this Beans move anyway. Methodz can retire here on his own terms in front of the Boston home crowd. Also note that at the end of his announcement speech, he said, the future is green. I heard that, I was like, okay, green wall, OpTic, you know, we'll see, right, if that happens. But it might make sense for Methodz to join back with OpTic and be part of the Scump show, whatever the case is. But we'll see how that goes. I think it makes sense. And also, right, we were wondering, I was even wondering earlier today, okay, if Methodz does get dropped for Beans, like, does Methodz really have a spot back in the league? Okay, maybe Surge, think about it for accuracy, but seems unlikely to me, right? So I think it makes sense. It's definitely a surprise, to be honest, for it to happen now, and in such a manner. It obviously was, I'm sure his ideal world Methodz was that he won the event on Sunday and then announced his retirement on stage, lifting up the trophy, which, you know, maybe if that was the case, he wouldn't have retired. I'm not exactly sure, but it seems like he had this planned. I actually saw him taking some pictures with fans on the Saturday while I was kind of waiting to do the death segment, and like, I don't know, he seemed almost obviously he had a match coming up, so maybe he was just kind of nervous and getting ready for the game, but he looked a little bit phased out, like he had something else on his mind, and that makes sense now, because I'm sure he wasn't nervous necessarily for the match against OpTic, but more so for doing this speech in front of all the people. So, you know, ballsy for Methodz to do this. I thought he absolutely killed it, and he's certainly going to kill it as a full-time content creator. This guy's got the personality for it, we know that he has, and he's one of these positions in his career when I'm sure he's, you know, in a position like Scump has been around for so long, getting a bit tired of the 8-hour grind 6 days a week. And also the conversations were around Methodz as well as to what his future was going to be with this roster. So just a really sad story, right, for the Call of Duty scene to lose another of its absolute legends. But I mean, it's not like Methodz is disappearing for the COD scene. He's still going to very much be around. But I mean, yeah, to lose Scump and Methodz in the case of just a few weeks it's probably inevitable, right, that a lot of these players that have been around for a decade or more are going to retire around about the same time. But you know, still, it's pretty sad to see regardless. Scump, of course, was giving some nice words for Methodz. Yeah, of course, they're boys for many years at this point, and yeah, it was great to see the segment that the CDL did, and Methodz coming up on stage to give that announcement is something that I've never really seen before. And it kind of leaves Clay, I mean, of the real OGs from like Modern Warfare 2 type times, Clayster is basically the only one remaining. He did actually tweet out, Clay, that he will at least see us at the next major, so you know, hopefully Clay can keep going. But I'm sure he was probably affected by this as well, as I'm sure a lot of the competitive Call of Duty community are. Of course, this is when Methodz won the MVP at CWL Atlanta back in 2018 on Rise Nation as it was back then. But definitely a storied player all the way from the OpTic blacklist back in the day to the Parasite impressions on his YouTube channel a few years ago. And well, just to close out this story, for now I'm sure we'll be talking about more in the coming days as well, is this news that the rotation announced immediately after Methodz announced his retirement that indeed Beans is going to be that replacement. So I guess it makes sense, but nonetheless a massive story. And actually this from the CDL here, just discussing, you know, 11 seasons, 55 pro tournaments and 2 tournament wins over that time. Definitely quite the story, but we've got to talk about the way the rest of this tournament went down. Firstly, apparently the CDL are banning for some reason the championship whites that OpTic use on Sunday to be used. Not exactly sure why. There's no real more explanation on this yet, so I'm going to leave it there for now, but they weren't wearing them today, unfortunately. They played Thieves and they won map 1 against Thieves, and I thought this was critical for OpTic here. Win game 1, clutch them in the search and destroy, take a game 5. That's basically what they tried to do first time, winning the game 5 when they beat Thieves in the winners bracket. First of all, they do win the game 1, and honestly, this is where the collapse began. Shotzzy is making plays. Look at this like formal-esque face he does right there on the right-hand side. I thought this is absolutely hilarious. But they're up 4-2 in the search and destroy. Then iLLeY decides, you know what, let me just use the sniper every single round. And, you know, I know that it sort of frustrated a lot of OpTic fans. I certainly felt frustrated watching the offense on round 11 when iLLeY had the sniper. I was like, you know, come on, they're not going to give you a pick. Surely you want to play in a way that you can actually help your team a bit more, and it just didn't work out. They go 1-1, but this is really where they choked as this control. I could not believe my eyes watching this in the stadium, that they won an offense, such an incredibly hard thing to do on Fortress control. They won it. I think they honestly kind of like phased out a bit for a minute or so, and then Thieves immediately captured B on their offense. They had a good chance to win that round and tied up 2-2, which they did, and secure the defense. But then OpTic, like, they had a good chance to hold on to the A points. Shotzzy was going rampant in their spawn. He just went a bit too rogue. I mean, it's the thing that this OpTic team does with this new roster, is like they just channel like one step too far at times, and it put them in a position where they lost that round in the end. Dashy, like, I don't know what he was thinking at one particular point, but Shotzzy, you know, he went out and died, and they had a perfect setup. There was no time on the clock. OpTic were about to win, and then they threw the round away. Thieves took defense round 5, won it comfortably, and then they win the next hard point as well in a ridiculous fashion. OpTic get a good advantage on this one actually as well, and you know, it's got to be said, iLLeY had a rough map 4 here. He started out this game 13 in 10. He finished the game 18 in 33, I believe. So he went like 5 in 22 or 5 in 23 maybe for the last couple of rotations, and that led to the losers run continuing. So Thieves, up until the grand finals, had only lost maps to OpTic Texas. They were 15 in 1 on their losers bracket run. That is, in terms of a map count, the most dominant run ever from losers round 1 to the grand finals. Remarkable stuff from Thieves this entire tournament long. There's no doubt about it. We'll discuss them more here in a second. But yeah, the way they beat OpTic, and I'm sure OpTic feel extra gutted now after seeing how the tournament progressed afterwards, that they were the team that could have beaten Thieves here. It was so close. Game 4, game 3 as well. Thieves clutch up though, and even they deliver the bowling pins just to strike them down here after the fact. And looking at the numbers, right, I mean, first of all, the numbers for the peak viewership apparently were breaching 300,000. That's got to be an absolutely phenomenal record for the scene at a very interesting time with the potential YouTube return. But yeah, a great series, and I'm just sure OpTic will be gutted about this. I'm sure OpTic fans are as well. At the end of the day, top 4 is about what I expected from this OpTic team this event, but the way that it concluded for them will be gutting, and I'm sure questions will be raised about this team that we shall discuss over the coming days. Before we talk grand finals then, got to discuss another absolute speedrun series. LA Thieves at this point on fire. Smoked Minnesota Rokkr off the face of the earth. A rare poor series here from Afro, but honestly, like, you know, Cammy hasn't been so impressive this season, already even last season as well. Attach has, you know, kind of not been too noticeable, I think, this tournament really. Bance had another great series. I mean, Bance has been putting the backpack on for sure, but Octane, I mean, man, LA Thieves, their comms are just so beautiful to listen to. Their teamwork is just so good, and they were firing on all cylinders here, so this was almost a foregone conclusion after the first game went the way of the LA Thieves. And here we go then, baby, grand finals, and what a series it was, man, to cap off this tournament. I did not know which way this was going to go. A rematch of the World Championship Grand Final. We know how spicy that was, and it was a question, would the FaZe second place curse be broken, or would the Champs curse be broken? The Champs curse is a big one. No team that's ever won an end of year World Championship has ever won an event ever again as a team. They'd made the run all the way to the finals here, Thieves. Could FaZe get second place again, or would they shut down Los Angeles Thieves, and would the Champs curse continue? I mean, look at this, right? The 5th ever COD Champs Grand Final rematch. It actually happens rather rarely, and FaZe have got on top of a couple of these ones that have happened most recently. But yeah, Thieves win game 1. I have no no idea how they won this game one, to be honest. I mean, they had an advantage, then FaZe bounced back. Looked like FaZe were going to take this game one, to be honest. It was a classic Mikado FaZe dominant streak in the middle of the game, but they get broken towards the end, and I did wonder here, okay, will FaZe break down as a result of this? How's their mental going to be? Thieves on a mega streak, continue their losers bracket streak now to 16 maps won, 1 map lost at this point after winning 250, 248, unbelievable scenes. But then game 2, I mean, there were some unbelievable rounds in this map 2 search and destroy. Thanos had a big one though, Slasher, and look, I said before this season began, I like this move. I liked bringing Slasher into this team because, in my opinion, this team needed a guy like Slasher to get those guys together. Yes, it was going to take a bit of time to make it work as a team, but Slasher, hella underrated. I know this guy gets a lot of hate from the community, and I really don't understand why. He's one of the greatest of all time for a reason, and always delivers in a big match. This is the thing about Slasher. He will very rarely indeed, in a grand finals, in a big series against a top team, fail to deliver. He almost always plays his best Call of Duty when in the biggest moments, and that's where FaZe have struggled last year, right? They came second so many times, they made finals, they never could turn up on a Sunday. Slasher is a guy that turns up on a Sunday. He always has, and more than likely he always will, and that was the key point, I think, for the FaZe guys here. Game 2 search, 1v2, Slasher clutches it, huge round as well for the momentum to take them to 1-1. Game 3 as well, Simp was showing some love to Drazah, and I did wonder here whether this would come back to bite him. Lovely 3-piece here from Simp, shooting the bodies as well. You gotta wonder whether that was gonna come back to bite him, but it did not on this occasion, right? And a clutch victory for FaZe to go up 2-1 in the series. But then Thieves, their respawn, their hardpoint especially, was so good. They pretty much dominate game 4 of this series. 250 to about 180 or so. Thieves win this one. Probably the least competitive map of the entire series, apart from the very final one, where Thieves did run out of gas. That's the question here with these grand final series. The team from losers gets the advantage at the start because they're hot. They just come off a victory. The team from winners has been sitting there for hours getting ice because they played their first game about 6 or so hours ago at this point. But as the series progresses, the team from losers, they've played so many maps of COD, they're getting tired. And as the final few maps go down, that's where the team from winners does tend to get their advantage toward the end of the series. And we did kind of see that in these final couple of maps. But man, this was the key deciding point in the series for me. FaZe went up 2-0 in this map. It looked like, okay, aLLeY, search and destroy, great map for FaZe. And aBeZy was left in a, honestly, almost impossible looking 1 versus 2. And okay, I don't know what Kenny's doing. And I understand that Drazah wants to go for the Chal here to get the trade while aBeZy's weak, but they just didn't play that perfectly. aBeZy capitalizes, clutches an insane 1v2 on the most precious situation there's going to be, really, to go down 2-3 in a series, wins it. Round 11 goes by, and FaZe just big dick this round 11, it's got to be said. They run straight into the site, get the kills. Envoy dies to a grenade, not exactly sure how, if he died through a wall or something, or died to an additional grenade that was thrown, but regardless, FaZe played the better in this round 11. Slasher gets the kill on Kenny. Octane can't clutch a 1v3 with seconds on the clock, go up 3-2, and then they play, well, a map that they're pretty comfortable on aLLeY control. FaZe win it, Atlanta FaZe back on top. It's been a while, it's been a long time coming since these guys are back on the top step of the podium. It felt like it was inevitable to happen at some point. Thanos is inevitable anyway, we know that, right? And Slasher joining this team obviously has now been proven to be the correct decision. They failed to win last year, they won straight away with Slasher again, and we'll see if they can continue their dominance going forwards, because phenomenal run. Commiserations to the Thieves guys, they played such a great tournament, and hopefully we'll get many more battles just like this to come. But that's going to do it today. I'm going to go get a pint or two. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.